to a Supreme Court ruling, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed a senior cabinet member with a criminal record. The development comes even as the coalition government continues to pursue contested judicial reforms that would curb the judiciary's powers. Israeli Supreme Court recently ordered Netanyahu to dismiss Aryeh Deri, citing his 2022 plea bargain conviction for tax fraud. Describing the ruling as regrettable and indifferent to the public will, Netanyahu pledged to find every legal means of keeping Deri in public office in the future. But how and where Netanyahu accommodates Deri remains to be seen. The development comes even as the coalition government continues to pursue contested judicial reforms that would curb the judiciary's powers. Prime Minister Netanyahu says the reforms will restore balance between the branches of government. Critics, however, say that it will undermine judicial independence. A new report that aired in Israel on Sunday claims that Netanyahu told visiting U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan that the proposed judicial overhaul will not be as dramatic being presented. Sullivan met Netanyahu last week in Jerusalem. The unsourced report on Channel 12 News stated that Netanyahu told Sullivan that he would work to ensure that any judicial reform is passed with broad agreements, adding that the final legislation will be watered down from the hardline version presented earlier this month by Justice Minister Yariv Levin. The report says Sullivan told the Israeli Prime Minister that the liberal democratic people in the United States and the administration do not like the direction you are going in with regards to the judicial reforms. And for more on this, our correspondent Jody Cohen is now joining us live from Ra'anana. Hi, Jody. What more do we know about Aryeh Deri, who has pledged a comeback now, and the claims that led to his dismissal?
Hi, Eric. Yes, so Aryeh Deri has been fired from his positions as Interior and Health Minister, and Netanyahu said that he did that with a heavy heart, and that's coming into effect on Tuesday, and it's not yet announced who will take over those positions. Deri will stay on as Deputy Prime Minister. That seems to be a mostly honorific title with no official authority. Netanyahu, as he said, has vowed to find a legal way for Deri to continue serving, and it's unclear how he could return as a minister because the High Court disqualified Deri on two bases, saying that his appointment as a minister was unreasonable due to his recent conviction, and secondly, because they say he broke the legal principle of estoppel, saying that in his plea deal he would stay out of political life. So Deri has suggested that he's going to continue serving his voters. He's going to stay on as the head of the Shas party. And what's interesting is that after firing Deri, Netanyahu reportedly temporarily left the cabinet meeting and Deri ran it in his place, which was certainly being seen as symbolic. Now, Deri will potentially continue attending cabinet meetings with an observer status. That's to be confirmed. And meanwhile, the leader of the opposition, Yair Lapid, is calling the government a circus, saying that the changes are coming only 3 weeks after Netanyahu promised a stable government.
Jody, very quickly, what's the status of the protest and what's going to happen next? Will Netanyahu go against the High Court to see Deri return as minister?
So supporters of the coalition will point to the Deri case as proof that the judiciary oversteps when it comes to politics. At the cabinet meeting, it was suggested that had Deri been joining a left-wing government, they believe the ruling would have been different. Detractors, though, would say that this case is proof that the High Court's job is necessary, and they're pointing to the growing protests each weekend. Most recently, we saw up to 130,000 people go out to protest these proposed judicial reforms. Now, there are various media reports claiming different scenarios. One is suggesting that the Attorney General could potentially order Netanyahu to step down over a potential conflict of interest over the judicial reforms. Another report is suggesting that Likud could be exploring adding centrist parties to the coalition, although Likud is denying this. And as you said, yet another report is saying that the Prime Minister told U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan that the judicial overhaul will be softened and that he's seeking a broad consensus. The consensus in Israel seems to be that there does need to be some sort of rebalance of power, returning it to how it was in the 1990s, but that many people believe that these proposals tilts too far in the government's favor. Critics are also saying that Netanyahu seeks these judicial reforms because of his own legal troubles and appear to be skeptical about whether or not he will soften them. But that, of course, remains to be seen. So we'll be keeping you all updated on developments.
Live from Ra'anana, Israel, our correspondent, Jody Cohen. Thank you. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.